You can consider work in so many different ways. As a chore, a passion, a challenge, a headache, a money earner, or a pastime, etc. Generally speaking, economists view work as a market. In 3 minutes, you'll know everything about the labour market, or just about. Imagine a tiny country that has 10 companies and 100 inhabitants of working age. Out of these 100, 56 are part of the labour force. In other words, they have a job or are seeking one. Together, our 10 companies and 56-strong labour force therefore constitute a market where you can buy or sell labour. Like any proper market, the labour market is based on supply, that's to say the workers, and demand, in other words, the companies. Since skilled workers are more productive than unskilled ones, companies are prepared to pay them more. But the labour market's extremely segmented. A shoe factory is hardly likely to take on auto engineers, no matter how skilled they may be. Just like a car plant would never hire an astronaut. And then the price of labour also depends on circumstances. In a situation of full employment, there is a shortage of available workers, so wages rise. Conversely, in periods of high unemployment, there is an abundant supply of labour, so wages fall. But let's get back to our mini-country, where a large part of the labour force works in arponium mines. Miners were on good wages until the day when synthetic arponium was invented. All of a sudden, output at the mines fell sharply. Unemployment soared, and 5 people became unemployed, or almost 9% of the labour force. Our minuscule jobs market is swamped by these 5 miners seeking work, but whose skills are now obsolete. So they accept jobs with very low wages and become the working poor, i.e. people who have a job and yet struggle to make ends meet. Faced with this unexpected situation, the government introduces a minimum wage. The lowest salaries rise significantly, which helps the poorest to escape the poverty trap. The problem is that this sudden rise in labour costs threatens the competitiveness of businesses. If they want to avoid price rises, they'll have to make cost savings. For instance, by replacing men with machines, or relocating production to places where labour is cheaper. The minimum wage improves life for some, but risks putting others out of work. What's the best solution? Now let's imagine there are 3 minuscule countries facing the same problem rather than just one. What should be done? In country number 1, the minimum wage is scrapped and the market is left to set labour costs on its own. The wages of the least skilled workers drop significantly. This is the cheapest solution for the community, but it means accepting a 2-tier society where the poor struggle to access health and education, etc. To understand what's going on in country number 2, it must be kept in mind that a salary includes social security contributions that help fund unemployment insurance, as well as the health system and pensions. In country number 2, the government keeps the minimum wage, but does away with social security contributions on low wages. Thanks to this tax break, the cost of unskilled labour falls for companies without any decline in the purchasing power of employees. In short, everyone's happy. The problem with solution number 2 is its cost. Any contributions not paid by companies have to be covered by the state and, ultimately, by taxpayers. In country number 3, the government decides to increase the productivity of unskilled workers through the funding of training schemes. This is expensive for employees, companies, and the state. But it allows workers and companies to adapt to the technical developments in their professions. So there you are. Time for a guessing game. Which solution should be chosen? 1, 2, or 3? In the real world, these 3 solutions coexist and have respectively been adopted by the United States, France, and Denmark. Which is the best one? For economists, the jury's still out. It's particularly hard to assess the long-term effects of public policies. What figures should we take into account? The unemployment rate? Long-term unemployment? Productivity? And then, looking beyond the figures, these different solutions result from different national histories, economic models, and political decisions. Since it plays a particularly important role for society and individuals, the labour market is not uniform in nature. It varies considerably from one country to the next. Ultimately, it's a kind of market, right, but it's also a lot of other things besides.